I'm Jamie-Lee Phillips and I play Dinah in God Loves the Fighter.
I am Muwakil and I play Charlie in God Loves the Fighter.
And I'm Lou and I play King Curtis, the narrator of the film.
God Loves the Fighter debuted in the film festival last year and is now open for its theatrical release in Trinidad from Wednesday the 3rd of December, which is next week, Wednesday.
Until this Sunday.
Until this Sunday. So that's 5 days. 5 days. Alone. Get tickets.
Everybody complained last year that they missed it, so now we're letting you know in advance. You can only see it from next week Wednesday to Sunday. That's it.
So God Loves the Fighter is really a raw look into Port of Spain as a sample of Trinidad. So my character, King Curtis, kind of tells people what happens behind the headlines. Because if you are living in certain parts of Trinidad, you know that certain geographical areas usually make appearances in the headlines over and over and over. And that kind of gives a certain kind of narrative. And King Curtis, he's a vagrant, he's on the ground, he's saying there's a broader narrative to all these characters.
My character is Charlie Ward. Basically a youth man who never knew his father, lost his mother at a young age, and had a friend, a man called Stone, who he grew up with. And as much as he doesn't want to get into a life of crime and he tries to stay on the fringes of it, he keeps getting roped into things. And basically in the movie he has an extreme moral choice to make when he meets this young lady here. Yes.
So I'm Dinah, I'm the prostitute. But Dinah was roped into this at a very young age. She meets a little girl that reminds her of herself, and she decides now she doesn't want that same thing to happen to that girl. She doesn't want that girl to have that life. And her and Charlie kind of unite over this one girl to help her, you know, not become like the both of them, essentially.
The first film?
First proper film. I've done other stuff, but it wasn't quite to this caliber.
It was improper.
And quality. Yes, it was improper. I'm sorry, some of them were improper.
Only Jamie-Lee have improper films. Go there.
I mean, the main reason I came onto this is when I heard do some group and I saw their work. I was very impressed with the quality, so I was on board one time. You know, it's very rare that you get asked to do a film such good quality. I mean, in my opinion. So we worked with Blue Cinnamon Group on this project. The director is Damian Marcano and a team of him and his wife, Damian and Alexa Bailey.
They're Trinidadian?
Damian is Trinidadian. He grew up here, but he lives away in the States, but he is a Trinidadian.
And your experience,
This was one of the most difficult things I ever had to do in my life. I didn't think it would be so difficult. The initial idea was to shoot this film in 10 days. I don't know if we remember this, but that was the initial idea. It had a whole team, sound people, lights people, and they came down and in 10 days we're going to shoot this movie. And in 10 days, of course, we realized that wasn't going to work. And the team stayed a little longer, but that didn't work, and then they left and came back.
But why didn't it work? It didn't work because when they came down, we had a state of emergency.
Right.
And of course, when you watch the movie, most of the shots are night shots. So by having to wrap by 9, that just did not help. So it was shot over like a 2-year period of them coming back.
Yeah.
And
literally
yes.
Actually took, first they came for 10 days plus maybe 5. And then they came back for 3 months. Then they came back for another 2 months, and then they came for another 3 months again. So it was literally about 8 months straight of shooting. And when they were here, it wasn't like you shoot and then you get 4 days off. We were on. Every day somebody had a time to shoot.
What made it took that time?
One, the way the script was, a lot of it was improv. We were given situations and we were told to be ourselves. They didn't want anybody acting in a kind of way. So a lot of the movie, there were very large scenes that were shot, that were cut out of this movie because they didn't find it was real, you know? So we did a lot of work on just being ourselves.
I think also they worked with a lot of fresh people too. A lot of us, this is our first time doing something quite like this. So then they really have to kind of guide and coach, which is very rare. You don't often find people willing to work with such fresh people, such green people.
And for you, what was the experience? Did you ever act before?
Yeah, well, my experience was slightly different. My character was written in a bit late into the whole plot, but I was able to witness the the transformation of the original script into changing characters, changing scenes, and by the time they made the decision to have a narrator to narrate the film, I already kind of knew what the film was supposed to depict. The most difficult part was traveling to LA for 2 days to do all of the narration in 2 days. That was very difficult. So we had to watch scenes over and over and over, sometimes for 17 hours straight, trying to get the narration natural. And that's the way most of the later filming of the film was done. Improv and really getting to learn the characters. Because although the characters were assigned to various actors, those actors had to learn the characters, and in every batch of filming, the actors learned the characters a bit more.
And it stayed cohesive.
It stayed cohesive for the entire thing.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to mention about the improv, the Charlotte Street thing, he kind of played it off like it was normal, but picture 4 o'clock in the evening, 3 going into 4, that real hustle time on a Friday, I think it was. And we show up in the middle of town with a red camera and 5 people, and a man dressed in a long, shaggy overcoat, right? A corduroy pants tie up with a string, a Puma shoe half open, like a Chavez kind of beret on his head, pushing a pram with a saxophone in it, right? Just screaming at the top of his lungs and cussing, walking down Charlotte Street, and nobody except us knows what's going on. You know what I mean? Nobody. It was not no kind of closed set. You know, no. What you see in the film is what really happened. It's
people on the street just took it as normal.
People was just like, man, thing, and just, you know, it was normal. But for the most part, what was amazing is that people ignored it. Like it was nothing. It's normal. He's a madman.
I was actually on Murray Street. They just put me out to see what cars would stop and talk to me. And people stopped and talked to me.
And
you'll be surprised the type of people. And then 2 girls were actual prostitutes. One of them was being nice, the next one didn't like me, and she threatened, like she wanted to cut me, I swear. So I had to leave because she was getting really, really aggressive. She told me if I ever come back there again, she'd cut me.
The movie was supposed to be shot in 10 days. That was the original plan, and that didn't happen. And you know, maybe in the beginning we were a little frustrated by that process.
But tell them why. Because we would actually go out and let's say leave work. Everybody had a job, so a lot of it was after work and tonight. Go by 5. By the time they set up everything, it'd be like, oh, okay, but we have to go home because we can't stay out because curfew. Because they obviously intended they wanted to shoot till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. But that just couldn't be done.
We couldn't. And but what happened is that as we progressed, because it literally took almost 8 months straight of shooting to get it done, and as we progressed, the story became more complex. You know, it really built into what you will see eventually. So in a way, it was a blessing disguised as a curse initially. You know.
Specifically with my character, when we began shooting at the beginning of that evening, my character didn't even have a name. It was coming on to the end of that evening when we went to the homeless shelter. Where was that?
By Bessemer Street there.
By Bessemer Street. Just when I was pushing the pram to where the homeless people set up their beds and things, a man just walked up to me and he said, "That's King Curtis, that's King Curtis." King Curtis. So we called him and we asked him, "Who is King Curtis?" And he actually gave me a whole story about him owning one of his first LP records with a saxophonist called King Curtis. And he saw me and the saxophone, and yeah, I was just King Curtis in his head.
So that's how King Curtis was born?
Yeah, that's how King Curtis was born. So when I had to go to do the narration, that is when I had to look back at the genesis of King Curtis and really understand the persona of King Curtis in order to give the narration.
I think for me, just the experience was the best experience. Like, it really helped me as an actress. Like, I think I got a lot better after doing this. Because like I said, it's very rare that you'd have somebody come down and work with people so fresh and willing to coach and guide. Nobody's either here as you want them as an actor or just get out. Like now when I go and do other things, I'm naturally better and they're all impressed. Oh, you really know what you're doing, you know what I mean? I think that really helped with everything. The worst thing, what was the worst thing? I think just that whole SOE thing, that just had me frustrated. Like, ask him, I was cussing half the time. Like, it was so like, we're all just going and coming and doing nothing and feeling like you're wasting your time. And it's like, oh God, why did I agree to do this sometimes? You know what I mean? Like, that was just, ugh.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
But now that you're at the end of the process, is it with it?
Yeah, of course. I actually have some really good quality under my acting resume now.
We made history. As far as I'm concerned, we made history. We've set a bar. I mean, people might disagree, but go see the movie for yourself. Worst part for me, there was a time where I had to keep carrying this little girl. And it was for days we were shooting different parts of the scene and I had to keep carrying her everywhere. She's not that heavy.
Made you wish you went to the gym, eh?
No. She's not that heavy, but when it's like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 takes and then day after day after day, after a while I wanted to know if I could just sling her up on my shoulder because I had to keep holding her and carrying her, you know?
So when that happens, that the scene is taking so long, is it because of light, you?
Sometimes they see something that they want, and as the scene develops, they realize, alright, I don't think I want it like that. Let's do it some other way. Come from this way instead. Do this instead. You know.
Was it frustrating that, or was it that you could have seen the reasoning?
You see the reason, but it's still frustrating.
Lactic acid.
You see the reason, but it's still frustrating, and you know. You know that for the product to be good, for the film to be good, you have to do these things over and over and over. And you can reason it all you want, it is still frustrating. You know, but it's a beautiful thing too. The vibes.
It would be a bit different for Muhammad and I because we have a very personal relationship with the Blue Cinnamon team. So even when all the shooting was finished, we were still privy to all of the work that was still being done in terms of the editing of it, the treatment of the colors. Knowing the director Damian Marcano, he's a perfectionist. He just would not sleep until his body shuts down, until he finds exactly what he's looking for. The best part was seeing all of this incrementally just take shape in a surprising way, even to him. Like when he set out, he had an idea, but he didn't have a close idea of what he wanted it to be. He just wanted it to take on its own organic shape. And seeing that happen, me having the experience of seeing the reception of the film at the Urban World Film Festival in New York, where almost an entire sold-out audience gave a standing ovation, some people in tears, because some of them may not have seen Trinidad for the past 20 years. And to see uncomfortable things from Trinidad at that quality, and me knowing when it was just us trying to help them with the script, trying to figure it out, and you know, some days were so frustrating. It was, to me, the best part was seeing the film make full sense.
And two things. One, the film came out of I mean, almost the slightest interaction. Damian and they contacted me via Facebook, and at first I didn't take them on, honestly, because people contact you all the time, and especially Americans, just like, oh God, alright. And then they spoke to me via Skype, and they came down and they met with the two of us. They didn't even know that we did music at the time, and I guess the rest is history. But one of the things I wanted to say is that Lou and I went to London in 2010. This is we went to London in 2010, and one of the things we realized was that the diaspora is very hungry. And one of the things for me that was real fulfilling about this is to be able to give people something of quality that is not just this kind of euphoria that has always seemed to come out of Trinidad, but here's Caribbean on a whole. Yeah, here's this reality that we live in. You know, here's this actual reality that every day we get when we face. Some of us try to fix, but all of us try to find our way through now. And this is it. Whether you like it, whether you agree, whether it make you uncomfortable, whether it you know, whether it unsettles you, you know, then this is it here. You know.
So you all did the entire soundtrack?
Well, with the assistance of a producer called Q Major from Tobago.
And Errol Redman Watson, as well as the Northwest drummers. And Bibo. Yeah.
Bibo. So basically, we supplied the producers along with along with Redman. He provided vocals to Q Major, who you know, produced around the vocals, giving it a very current EDM trap song. So it added another texture of excitement to the film, because most Trinidadian films expect to hear pan, you know, some other music that we would think should be there because it's coming from Trinidad. But yeah, the music was definitely, it wasn't challenging on us. The challenge was really on Q Major, who had to turn in several versions of the soundtrack on deadline, and yeah, that was definitely an accomplishment on his behalf as well.
Officially, there was no budget. None of us here got paid to do anything that we did. We agreed to do this because we realized what it was and we wanted to be a part of it. And we gave up ourselves. Everybody gave up themselves and their time and everything. So I don't know what happened behind the scenes after, and I don't know what's going to happen from now. But, you know.
They funded it themselves.
Yeah.
Blue Cinema Group.
That's it.
Blue Cinema Group funded this themselves.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even when I had to fly up to Los Angeles, I was all them. I made the mistake and asked him in New York, I said, well, if it's so expensive to fly from New York to LA, how much my tickets cost? And he said, yeah, that costs about 10,000 one way, because it was during peak season to go to LA. And just hearing that, knowing the kind of people that they are, to believe and I felt proud to know that somebody would cough up 20 G's to bring me there to voice some things. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would have paid me to do that, but or to pay the traffic, but it just goes to show that they were relentless in chasing what they knew was possible, and nothing would have stood in their way, not even the lack of funds. They would have get it done. And if anybody know Alexa, she's the producer of the film, she has made the impossible possible. All of that, all the things that was needed and required for the film, Alexa found a way to make it happen.
A real producer.
A real
Relentless.
producer.
Relentless. I wanna shout out Princess Simone Donolan. Yeah, Princess was our comfort plenty times, like, you know. Sometimes Alexa and them blazing whatever, and after you get blazed from Alexa and you go downstairs and you're feeling like you're not worth anything, Princess come and just like, can I get you a Coke? Can I get you something? Are you okay? Whatever. She just, you know, she was always there now. She was always there, kind of just making sure everything was together. Very quietly, not looking for anything, just there, quiet, doing what she needs to do now. And it's people like that who really make these things happen. So shout out Princess, you know.
What's your biggest lesson from the whole experience?
Anything is possible. Dream as big as you want, and then just go and make it happen. You know, anything is possible. This was a little seed of an idea, and we made something. Yeah.
I could actually push it and probably be better than I thought I was. They really pushed me too. Like, if they thought I could have done better, they made me do better. So I wasn't so frustrated by it. I realized I was happy to realize that they believed in me. That they saw me, that I could actually, you know, pull through and come through for them and act properly.
The lesson I learned is plenty times we think we know what people would like, and we know what people need, and we know what people love. And sometimes our notions of that pigeonhole us into what we want to create instead of making what we should create. When we saw versions of the rough copy, we thought it was real abrasive. And when it premiered for the film festival, just hearing from screening to screening it being sold out. But at the end of the screenings, listening to the conversations, only then we realized how much baggage Trinidadians really carrying around. About how they feel and what is real to them. And I mean, to see that art can provoke people who would much prefer to remain silent, be so agitated that they speak for the first time in public about something they've been carrying around. I learned that you don't know, we don't know. And the lesson in that is to keep providing the people with art, at a very high quality. Keep giving them opportunities to mirror themselves and to see themselves
As honestly as we can. You will see another film, and we will see other films about Trinidad telling other stories from other parts, and we wouldn't all agree, but we will come to respect it and say, hey, maybe that's just a side of reality that I'm not acquainted with, and I need to be more familiar with, which is what All Loves the Fighter did.
Who was it that said that, Maya Angelou? People want what they want, not what you think they should want. Right? So when you create this culture of art and high art and think that people should respond to it in that way, the time is always changing, art is always changing, the way people perceive things are always changing, and you never know what will be accepted at any point.
Let me just add one thing, and I feel kind of compelled to say this, right? At one of the screenings, the director was asked something, and he reacted very passionately, and some people misunderstood his passion for him being edgy, cocky. I want to say the A word, but I can't say that. Him being but he's not really that. And because we know him and we know that, you know, he would spend days without sleeping. He wouldn't even know what time it is because he would just be in this room with dark drapes, and all he's seen is this computer screen editing this movie. Sometimes he would just crash for 2 days. And the reason why he's that passionate, and he tells this story about, I don't think people really listen, that he's from Morvant, on a street that does not have a street sign. And when he grew up, his only toys were a slipper and an elastic. So coming from that to this, being able to create something that riveting itself in Trinidadian history, yeah, it would bring out some emotions that can't be politely expressed. And that's one thing you know about honest artists. Sometimes diplomacy is not so high on the priority. So he's not a bad person, and he's not a. It's just that he's very passionate, and he's coming from a place that he wants to represent, that to this day is still being underrepresented. So this is just his truth.
Why we should go and see the film?
Just freaking bad.
It's bad.
Best local film done in Trinidad ever. Hands down.
Yeah, I try to remove myself from the fact that I was a part of the process and all of that. And I would listen. But it's just good. It's well told. The entire movie is well shot. It's the best shot. The cinematography is the best Trinidad has
It's a
ever
full proper
seen.
film too. It's not a short. It's not like 15 minutes. It's like an hour and a half.
Yeah, and it's action. Like, you know, there's things going on. It's action packed. There's always something happening in the film. It's not, you know, it's not. You ain't gonna fall asleep. I tell you that.
Some funny parts.
Yeah.
Very, very funny parts.
Trinidadian people are just naturally funny. So even if we vex, it's still funny. You know what I mean?
To really see yourself on film, like to really see yourself. There are some. Just come and see the film. Yo,
This film is about you, because everybody at some point in time would be a fighter in their own sense. Everybody fighting things, either externally or internally. And sometimes we just think that God does favor the champion, the person who's come out winning. But God loves the fighter, the person who's just relentless and not giving up, regardless of what that person is fighting, who they're fighting, when they're fighting. God just loves that spirit of relentless fighting. So it's about you. You want to see it?
yeah, it's about you. If we take on history in certain ways, some of us might believe that there will never be any history-making, groundbreaking music to come out of Trinidad or film or anything like that. And we tend to cry down ourselves, even like Paul said, nothing has ever come out of the islands, right? But as far as I am concerned, we are here for a purpose, and we are here for such great purpose that we just have to put our minds, and we're willing to put your body and your soul and your blood and your sweat and everything to it, and you can achieve whatever you want. And that's not some pie in the sky talk. It's just hard work and vision. Fighting.
I think in Trinidad we spend so much money on foreign films. For once, everybody go out, spend your money on a local film and support local. Go watch God Loves Fighter.